But anyways, yeah, Tyler the Creator, Chromacopia
Hi,
album review. I like this album. You see, y'all know I gave it an 8.7. I gave it an 8.7 out of 10. Now, did I raise it or did I not? No. Only reason being is because I didn't listen to it that much. I listened to the full album 2 times again. But if I was to raise it any more from that, it would be like 0.1, bro. It'd be 8.8 at that point. So I like where I rated it. It was solid for me. It didn't blow me out the water, but it was great though. It was still great. So that's why I said 8.7, 8.8. But I gotta see what he's gonna give it. My prediction, early on prediction, I'm saying Anthony Fantano is gonna give it a. He gonna give this album a 7. Yeah.
Hi everyone, Big Thinny Pose Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Tyler the Creator album, CHROMAKOPIA.
You got the black flannel
New
on.
album here from singer, rapper, songwriter, producer, fashion designer, director, multi-disciplinary artiste, Tyler the freaking Creator, who quickly dropped this brand new album of his after.
And by the way, with that album, he lived up to the name of Tyler the Creator. He lived up to it. Great album.
A super sudden announcement and single release. I feel like I've barely had time to even process the idea of a new Tyler the Creator album in front of me. And weirdly, it feels as if his last full-length album, Call Me If You Get Lost, just dropped too, which is probably the effect of dropping an album that has been proven to have so much staying power, that was so much fun to listen to. He also released that extended edition of the record last year that had some really good extra tracks on it. Not to mention, Tyler has done a masterful job in recent years of maintaining his career between huge tours, widely discussed interviews, big collaborations, as well as his continually successful Camp Flog Gnaw Festival. So even when Tyler isn't in the thick of an album cycle, there's still reason to pay attention to him. And this knack for branding and building his public image is such a welcome 180 from the antagonistic burn it all down approach that he used to take earlier on in his career. And it's funny because the Tyler the Creator of that initial Odd Future era seems to just be long gone now. The effort he's put into handling himself differently in the public eye has most definitely paid off, to the point where you see new young Tyler the Creator listeners.
Listen, like I said during that reaction, for me, I wasn't listening to him when he was edgy. I was listening to Hobson. Now, granted, you could argue that Hobson was damn near the same as Tyler the Creator back then, but Tyler just didn't appeal to me as much as Hobson did. It just, I hate to say that it sounded corny, but it was corny. Now, I'm a hypocrite in saying that for listening to Hobson, but it was corny. I'm just saying it. But I like the way he's matured and grown as an artist, as a person, and all that, which has attracted me more to his music. Because it's not about the edgy bars, it's just the fact that he would make that just all his music. Like, damn near every line was, you know what I'm saying? Something raunchy. And now it's like, he just sprinkles it in there from time to time, if he feels that it's necessary, or like, it's tasteful. Before, it was just like, just to do it, and make niggas be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? I was listening to Dax. Oh, man.
Sometimes stumbling upon the lyrical content that lurks within the tracks on albums like Bastard as well as Goblin. And
like, okay, look, for these albums, like, I've heard good songs from these albums. Even the one where he's on the little bike. I've heard good songs from the old albums. That's not the point that I make it. It's just every album just was like, just trying its best to throw edgy shit in there. You get what I'm saying? So, like, that was the problem.
Kind of shocked. However, that's not too surprising considering we're inching up on a decade since Tyler really started to turn a new leaf creatively with the widely accessible Flower Boy in 2017. Really a growth spurt for Tyler in terms of his maturity.
I'm interrupting him again. I'm sorry. Flower Boy, for me, I wish I would have gotten into Tyler when Flower Boy dropped. But Flower Boy was like the first album where he was turning a new leaf, in my opinion. So I just thought in my mind he was going to be the same person, and I dismissed it. I'm going to be honest. I dismissed Flower Boy But when I heard what's that song that he got with Kali Uchiha? Um um can I get a kiss? I can yeah make it last forever. You know what I'm saying? When I heard that, I'm like, all right, okay. I still haven't listened to the full album front to back, but I've heard more songs from that album since then. But I wish I would have started here. But at least I started though.
And artistry as
fuck
he
it.
began to expose and explore his softer side a bit more, and how that balances out with the brash persona that we know him to have, the yin and yang of it all. I mean, keep in mind the original title of this record was Scum Fuck Flower Boy. Following this, we had the conceptual and heartbroken love triangle narrative on the record Igor a few years later, an album where Tyler really leaned further into his singing voice and his songwriting chops. But in case you began to lose faith in Tyler as a rapper, here he comes with Call Me If You Get Lost, which is a 16-track flexathon with some of his most colorful and eccentric bops to date. So with so many commercial and critical successes under his belt right now, you would think Tyler would be essentially extending this victory lap onto his next record. In so many ways, he has all the reason to feel on top of the world right now. However, he took a decidedly dark turn with the promotion of this album, specifically with the first single we heard from it off the bat, Noid, a track where Tyler isn't so much hype about his fame, but he is more skeptical of it, afraid of it, or afraid of what comes with it. Because from start to finish on this track, he is deeply paranoid of the motivations of his fans, of lovers, of most of the people around him, really, which is a new angle for Tyler, the creator, topically, but I kind of feel like this narrative has brought out an older version of himself here, one that is more confrontational with his audience, his contemporaries, and the world around him. And also across this album, Tyler makes it clear that he is still struggling to find himself and his way, and he's just being very frank and open about it. And that's where I feel like Tyler's experience and artistic maturity at this point comes in, because he now has the perspective and the steady hand to be able to provide interesting meta-commentary on these overwhelming feelings and give us some extravagant and creative production too, like with the—
Damn, I'm not gonna lie. I said I would give it a. I said he was gonna give it a 7. He might give this shit a 9. He might give it a 9, bro. Just off the way he's talking right now, he might give it a 9. We gotta see what he says later though.
The opening track, St. Chroma, which features these lush layers of pianos and vocal harmonies, pianos and synths too, which are all propelled by this backbone of dramatic, stomping, marching feet. There's a whole whispered intro verse on the track as well, where Tyler not only continues to express skepticism about his fame, but he also wrestles with his need to create or show his creativity, his light, with just this desire to completely quit everything that he's doing. And this track serves as a very grand setup for the following Ratata. Quick segue into this one, which is really a banger that sets the tone for the record, with some loud production and lyrics that kind of paint a character portrait of Tyler's current self, his current mentality. The production on this thing is eerie, it's bassy, it's heavy, it's dark, but very eccentric and cartoony too. It's like if you could take a horrorcore beat but make it into something that Missy Elliott could be on top of. And I don't draw the horrorcore comparison to cite any kind of edginess going on in the content of the track. I mean, there is an element of horror going on in terms of Tyler's fear of things that could happen to him with his fans or weirdos, learning where he lives. There's a bar on here where he says something about being sloppy if you get sloppy where you sleep at. I mean, all in all, this track feels like a cut that could have come off of Call Me If You Get Lost, but if you could make it darker and just more fearful. And Tyler dives deeper into these feelings on the next track, the lead single to the record, Noid, which I just went over, but I will say additionally, I'm not as crazy about the production as I am the core narrative on this track, as I feel like the beat is kind of flat, the guitar riffs are very basic and plain, and the moments that do actually work musically deeper into the song, feel like kind of a leftover from the Igor era. Still, next on the record, we have Darling I, which is a track that introduces another core theme of the album, and that would be love and relationships, or at least the way Tyler feels comfortable operating within them right now, because that paranoia and that need for independence and distance has kind of created a situation where he is really struggling with the idea of intimacy. So, of course, Tyler would essentially write like an ethical non-monogamy jam on this one, a kind of an open relationship anthem, which I think in concept is fine, but the very kooky tone of the instrumental and the vocals kind of leaves the whole track feeling like a send-up of old school R&B tunes, like we're getting a parody of something when the track actually could have been super solid with just a better, cleaner execution. And while I do think lines and refrains about forever being too long and continuing to fall in love definitely like bring the track's central message home in a catchy way, the spoken word bridge is not quite as good and kind of reads like one of those cringe conversations that your boyfriend forces you into when they're trying to like open the relationship up. Yeah, I think we should see other people, and I don't want to own you or control you, you know? Still, this direction of things does get more interesting on the record with the following Hey Jane, where
I feel like he's belittling that part a little bit though. I feel like he's belittling that part. No? Because he was trying to say like I could see how it's seen like that, but bruh, like I seen it as more like, yo, I know I'm gonna be this way eventually, so I don't even want you to feel like it's anything here, like heavily. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be your own person, be your own person. I can't control that type shit.
Lyrics of this track, Tyler gets someone pregnant. And interestingly enough, he actually raps from the perspectives of both people involved in the situation here in a way that comes across genuine and complex and complicated in the way that a situation like this would actually be. And look, conceptually, I'll say the track is not pretty. I don't think it's supposed to be. Tyler doesn't even come across in the best light, as he doesn't really read as feeling any type of way about potentially not being in this kid's life. However, this does come full circle a little bit on the record as he processes more of his abandonment issues, which we will get into. But yeah, the sweet idyllic instrumental on this one is not mind-blowing or anything like that. There are lots of sweet chord changes and lead melodies that I think are great. For the most part, this track just has production that sets the stage really well for the storytelling that is on top. Following this, though, we have I Killed You, which provides a really interesting switch up instrumentally and topically, as this track is very much about the politics of hair within the black community.
I need to re-listen to the album. All I listened to was Lloyd and Sticky. Bro, Sticky was tough though. Even this song that he's talking about, I Killed You, I like this song, dude. It's not even really the vocals. It is the vocals, but it's more so of how he layered the vocals and matched it with the drums of like, you know, when he's and making the words of I killed you more impactful than what it would be if it wasn't on the drums. Because when he's saying like I killed you, be like I killed you. You know what I'm saying? Like it made it more impactful overall in the song with them drums, which is what I liked about that song.
Obviously something I wouldn't know anything about, but still I can appreciate the track for its interesting lyrical metaphors throughout, where Tyler kind of likens the natural state of his hair, where he's not combing it, throwing chemicals in it, altering it in some kind of way, as being embarrassing to him on some level, like the presence of a person who he doesn't like. And like I said, the production provides an interesting change too, as I think aesthetically it feels like something from either the Goblin or the Wolf era a bit, in terms of just all of its synth layers. The types of leads and patches that Tyler tends to favor are definitely on this track in full force. However, at this point, with all of his experience, he definitely has the capacity to write and mix with these sounds in a way that doesn't keep them feeling kind of cheap and thrown together. And frankly, as someone who was super critical of Tyler's production early on, it's just amazing to hear that growth. Next, though, on the record at the midpoint, we have kind of this freak flag flying trio of tracks, Judge Judy being the first of them, which is this sort of explorative sex anthem where Tyler meets someone who allows him to really go into the more taboo side of his carnal desires, fetish stuff, bondage stuff, all that. But obviously, He doesn't judge. That is the Judge Judy component of the song. We're not judging Judy. But again, despite the very serious tone of the track lyrically, a lot of the singing and the production leaves it feeling like we're listening to a skit or Tyler's doing a gag. Not to mention the track, for being as sexual as it is, doesn't really bring a whole lot of sex appeal to the table. Plus, on this song, we also do have another overextended narrative bridge where the Judge Judy chorus reads like an awful bar or two from Kanye's Jesus is King era. It's like that level of writing. Plus, all the sex moans at the very end of the track are just very awkward to sit through. It's kind of like Tyler's putting the audience against their will in the cuck chair.
I said this. I literally said this. I said this when I listened to it. I'm like, bro, why are we over here? I said, bro, it's not even about the moaning. It's the fact that the moaning is going into my left ear and then back in my right ear. Why is it doing that, bro? Why are you trying to make me it like, bro, if we had to, like, let's just use the analogy he just said, like we just in the cuck chair. It's like he just went and he fucking the girl, whatever, Judy, and he tossing Judy from one side of the room to the other. You know what I'm saying? He just put her up against the wall and then put her up against the dresser. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I agree with him. That part is mad awkward. It's awkward as shit. But maybe that's what he was going for. I don't know. But this overall, it was awkward as shit. What I did like about it though was the wordplay. I did like how he tried to paint the picture of Judy. But it's like, I'm not gonna lie, Judy was tripping. I'm not judging her, but she was tripping. Shit. And I agree with him though, saying that the sex appeal really wasn't there. Like it was not none, bro.
Things do pick up, however, on the following track, Sticky, which is wild and brash. Really the most exciting track on the entire record.
I'm not even joking when I say this. Sticky might be like one of the like better songs I've heard in a minute, like from like a feature standpoint. Like as far as energy, as far as the people on it, as far as lyrics. My only complaint about that song is certain people not having longer verses. Bro, he had Wayne there for like 6 bars. He had Glorilla there. Glorilla was probably the longest, and she probably had like 8 bars. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's my only complaint. The song could have been 6 minutes. I wouldn't have complained. I'm gonna be honest. If it was 6 minutes of each of them spitting for at least like 10 bars or more, I would have been fine with it.
But also one of the most difficult to put into words because there is so much coming together on this song. It's like Tyler is pulling all of his inspiration from Cartoon Network show soundtracks, 2000s era Southern hip hop trunk knockers, drum lines, horn lines. It's really an explosion of sound. And I also love that it starts off in such a raw skeletal place with the chants and the whistling and gradually grows into something truly massive with a series of very short, punchy and sweet features from the likes of Glorilla, Sexy Red, and Lil Wayne. Then after this, the track "Take Your Mask Off" is like a combination of
chill on Fantano right now. He's spitting right now. He's spitting right now, bro. I know usually his takes is obnoxious and absurd, but he's spitting right now. As of right now with Tyler, he's spitting. Now, when we go ahead and what is it gonna be like? It's probably gonna be like next week or like a few days from now. When he talks about Uzi, that's when we could get on his head. I don't even know what he rated the other albums, but yeah. We gon' when he drops that reaction, we gonna see what he rated the other albums first, and then we gonna try to predict what he rates that album.
Lo-fi soul and old school hip hop. And the ultimate message of this track is be yourself. Be your true self, your actual self. Don't hide behind that mask. Don't pretend to be anything for anybody else. And Tyler explores this idea with a series of verses that essentially dives into a bunch of character archetypes of people who are just pretending to be something that they're not, or kind of forcing themselves into a mold, be that a rapper with face tattoos, or like a domesticated mother who feels kind of repressed in her family setting. It's almost like he's doing a Kendrick sing about me type thing, but just in a way that relates more to him and his own journey with being more honest with who he is with himself and his audience. And of course, all of this comes full circle at the very end of the track, where the final and last and most hard-hitting verse is Tyler kind of directing all of this criticism to be true to himself to himself, citing moments in his past and present where he wasn't really being mask off. After this is the song Tomorrow, which I think conceptually does fit really nice into the overall narrative of the record, but I still wish there was more to it. It kind of feels like an underexplored interlude in the grander scheme of the track list. Tyler lyrically seems to confront the long-term viability of his career on this one, starts to, really consider the sorts of life goals and events that he's missing out on by sinking so much of himself in his career, and that's it. It's like his own little Charlie XCX, I think about it all the time type moment, as he doesn't seem alone in this current day phenomenon of artists essentially being put on this hamster wheel of work to do, of things to engage in when they reach a certain level of popularity. Following this, though, the track Thought I Was Dead kind of brings the momentum back up with a kind of hype diversion. I don't think this song adds as much conceptually to this record as many other tracks do, but it's still a bold moment. The horns and chants come back into the fold and they still sound great. There is a solid and aggressive Schoolboy Q feature on the song too. Tyler also has a nice solid verse on the track, and as far as the attitude of his vocal delivery and writing, it feels like we are getting a much older version of himself once again. It's a bit edgy, it's aggressive, it's in your face, it's confrontational. He is once again wrestling with his fame in a way that is reminiscent of how he did it on Goblin, but once again, he now has enough maturity and perspective to actually rage on the topic without giving the audience secondhand embarrassment. Then we really go into a dark place on Like Him, which I think is maybe the most emotionally raw Tyler has ever been on any song in his career so far. I mean, it's not the most explicit track in terms of its meaning. Tyler is not aggressively rapping his inner thoughts to you on this one. But still, this is the most emotionally monumental part of the record, where he's really going into his daddy issues and seeing his father in himself as he gets older, which just serves as a reminder of that relationship with him that he didn't have. Additionally, with an outro from Tyler's mom, where she's seeking his forgiveness because she sort of owns up to the role that she played in Tyler not really having that connection with his dad. Again, this track brings a lot of the themes of the album full circle, because this seemingly is kind of like the linchpin for Tyler's fear of intimacy, the responsibilities, and the adulthood that he's kind of running from with his work and his career. And with this realization that Tyler kind of leaves, I think, a bit of a cliffhanger here. I think he, opens up the door for a potential resolution on these issues. We get the song Balloon, which is like an uplifting switch up that's super bright and positive with all these glistening
beat
pianos.
On Balloon, the beat on the Balloon is an example of like how rappers could get dumbass beats and they just like make it sound good off of what they say on the beat. Because that beat is actually like, bro, that beat, I guess simplicity is better, but bro, that beat is ridiculous, and he makes it what it is.
A great feature, a wild feature from Doechii, where her and Tyler are just bleeding, just oozing bisexual chemistry in every direction. The queef bar that she drops on this track is insane. It's a short and sweet celebratory cut that brings us to the closing track, which I think is a very strong ending for the album. We have lots of glamorous piano chords and synth leads that essentially set the stage for some verses where Tyler gets off his chest a lot of thoughts that kind of round up the core themes of the album about where he is in his life and his career and whether or not he wants to have kids, so on and so forth. This is also another moment on the album where Tyler kind of poses himself as an example for the audience. As earlier on the record, he kind of expresses a hope for listeners to kind of take their mask off and be themselves. And on this track, he is expressing a hope that listeners find their way home, find whatever place that you need to be at, which is a nice sentiment to hear, because as standoffish as Tyler can be in interviews or when dealing with fans who want to get in his space, he reaches out to his audience where it truly counts, like actually in his art. That's clearly where he's the most comfortable with being himself in front of them and sharing his insights and also providing emotional support of some sort, which should be enough, frankly, because at the end of the day, Tyler is not your friend. He's not your mentor. He's not your therapist, but he is a genuinely good entertainer, and his art sometimes can be very therapeutic and cathartic. Overall, though, CHROMAKOPIA, I loved it.
Here we go. 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 Oh shit. Oh shit. After everything he said, I think he's gonna say 9, but I originally said 7, so I'm gonna stick with that. But if he goes 8, then I was just right.
Thought it was great, but I do have some general criticisms for the record, as the first leg of the record was somewhat weak. Plus, Judge Judy didn't really feature the best songwriting or singing either. There are moments where I feel like Tyler's cartoonish delivery and production style does get the better of him. And also on this record, I don't feel like he spent enough time further developing his sound in a way to where it would come across as something genuinely new, something that would actually contrast with past releases. If anything, a lot of the production on this record feels like something that could have come off of Igor or could have come off of Call Me If You Get Lost.
But I feel like this album came in. I feel like this album was like in contingency with those other two. I feel like it was like more so of like an extension of those albums and not just its own album. Cause I mean, I think when it's all said and done, like it's gonna be like a it's gonna be it's gonna be like one piece of like a whole puzzle. Because from that other video where you had like 5 different personas, you know what I'm saying? And this was one of the personas. Like some of them we haven't seen, I'm pretty sure. Unless I'm thinking about it wrong. But some of them we haven't seen, if I'm not mistaken. And if that's the case, then there's gonna be future albums where like, you know, eventually one of them is gonna be the last one of this whole like, you know, franchise. So I think this is just one piece in the story and it'll make sense later on, but that's just me though.
Which isn't inherently a bad thing, but it does lead to a lack of overall thrills as an album experience.
Bro, you know what I mean, bro.
Still, I think with this record, you can genuinely put another one on the board for Tyler, who continues to be such a refreshing contrast from a lot of everything else in the mainstream. Even if CHROMAKOPIA isn't Tyler's best, it's still a cut above the rest, which is why I'm feeling a light 8 on this album. Transition, have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you...
I know my shit when it comes to albums, bro. And I know he's not the end all be all. But he's been doing this for a minute, bro. So even though sometimes his words don't hold weight for real because he just be talking out his ass, sometimes he be right. And with this, it just shows that I'm really good at rating these albums, bro. I'm really good at rating these albums. An 8.7 was valid. 8.7 was valid. I'm just saying. That's just me. But overall though, with what he was saying with the album, I agree on most parts. There was like a few things I didn't agree with, but overall though, like I think we had like kind of the same viewpoints about certain songs and certain takes on the whole album as a whole. But yeah. I'm proud of myself for giving it, you know, what I think it was and, you know, basically being right. Shit. That's all I gotta say.